Hey guys, it's Saru, and I have heard quite a bit in the last week or so about a brand new MMORPG that's coming out eventually called Taris World, or Taris World. All I know is that it kind of looks like World of Warcraft, so everybody's been talking about it, and people have been messaging me about it and asking me what I thought about it. To be perfectly honest, I have barely looked at it. I think I looked at a screenshot or something, but that's as far as that went, so I decided to deep dive and go into everything that we could know about this game so far, whether it's coming to the West, whether it's not coming to the West, if it's going to be on other platforms or not. So we're gonna do all that and see how that turns out. So let's get right into it. So not so long ago, I think on January 12th, there was an interview with the producer of Taris World that I have just come across, and I figured I'd kind of just read into it, kind of figure out what this game's about. So Taris World is like a Western fantasy MMORPG, and given the fact that Tencent and a bunch of others are having a bunch of issues in China right now because of a lot of situations that I'm not going to talk about, but so the reason I mentioned that is because every time that I've heard Taris World or whatever this is called, I actually have no idea what it's pronounced like, but every time I've heard it, it's about how it looks like World of Warcraft and how it was quickly done because World of Warcraft is going to be removed, which that's not how an MMORPG is created, by the way. It's not like 2 months of work and just throw some assets together, although I guess technically, but even then, like, that was just unfeasible. Like, it just would not happen. So there was this whole interview about this game, and I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to check it out and see what I thought about it. So I'm going to be playing some kind of video in the background. I have no idea what it is yet. Like, I'll find out in post-production, and whatever's in the background is hopefully going to be playing. But yeah, I'm just going to give you guys some of the answers that the interview says. First and foremost, this game will be on PC and mobile. A quick gist of the first question was basically why they chose to go for a Western, like American cartoon style, since that is extremely rare in China. And was it more in terms of the consideration for like a world view? Is it for global distribution? Like if it's more easier to, get that out there? And the producer started talking about how the worldview and the direction was originally created, from the very beginning of the project. And they wanted to create a game that kind of fit their own vision. They were doing a bunch of research, so they were releasing different types of art styles for the characters or NPCs or whatever, reaching out to different people and seeing what they think, whether they prefer one style or the other. And what was more popular was this kind of art style that, the cartoon one. And so they wanted to do something that was not necessarily just beautiful, but it could be a little bit humorous as well. So it's exaggerated in one way and as well as the other. At the same time, it could target the demographics of young users, but at the same time, older players that are more used to like that older style of art, I guess. They talk a little bit about the weather system and how that was mentioned in the video that is probably running in the background. I have no idea, guys. Like, this could be a complete clown video for all I know. Probably should have set this up ahead of time. So they talk about the weather system and how it affects two things. One is the collection system. So they call it the overall living collection. I'm sure that's just badly translated on my end, but essentially the quality and type of certain collection items that you can go out and collect, like let's say rocks or whatever, will change and be completely different based on the weather that is currently going. So one thing that they say is, like, for example, within a quest such as the Frozen Snow Tree quest, the skills of the boss will change when entering on a sunny day, and when there's like a snowstorm kind of weather, it will be completely different. So it's going to affect differently towards the boss as well as his skills. In terms of the gameplay altogether, we can kind of see it right here on this screen. It looks like a classic traditional MMO sort of kind of thing going on there, but it doesn't have so many buttons. So this is mostly to kind of solve the issue between mobile and PC. Like, how do we get from one place to another? So because there's such a limit on the keys that you can press on a mobile device, they kind of set this up in a way that's more quickly accessible for players. So they've created something called like an ensemble, which is kind of like a macro system, I guess you can say, where if you use something, it could go in turn and use something else if you wanted to use that kind of option on PC as well. So if you've recently played Swords of Legends Online, first of all, some of these icons look pretty much the exact same, but that's not the point what I'm trying to say. For classes, it's like every class has a subclass, so the same aspect kind of goes here, and they start talking about how there's different characteristics for each of the classes. So there's tanks, there's DPSs, there's healing, and every single one will have its own thing, while stating that every season, so usually this means every year, they want to release a brand new class. So the idea is not to have one OP class, but rather different environments can affect different classes, and so maybe one class can be way better as a tank during a certain environment than they can as DPS. I think that's an interesting idea, especially with environments and weather systems kind of affecting everything. So that'll definitely be an interesting take for when the game does come out. They do talk about PvP and how it's not going to affect the PvE aspect of the game. For example, it's just basic PvP, like they have arenas, they have battlegrounds, and other situations that are just PvP related, but PvE players do not have to worry because it's not an open world PvP experience, so it's not like something that you're going to run around and then someone can just kill you. So one thing they addressed that I feel like every mobile game has that I feel like everybody kind of hates was the Wayfinder, so the Pathfinder kind of button. So sometimes you could click on a quest or something and it would take you directly to the quest and it would auto path for you, right? So they say that they do know that a lot of players don't really like this, and especially because it's going to be both on PC and mobile, they're not going to include this, at least in the current version. It may be available in the future depending on how things go, if players really do want it, but they want players to not necessarily rush. They want them to see the entire world, talk to the NPCs, learn about them, interact with them, kind of learn about the lore and communicate with everybody, and just kind of experience the game as it's supposed to be experienced rather than just rushing and getting all the quests done. However, they have said that what they're interested in is not necessarily creating a pathfinding way, but if you have enough reputation and high enough level in an area, for example, like if you're in a map, let's call it Barbie Town, you don't have the reputation, you don't have anything, you're brand new to the game, you need to do everything, you need to explore the entire thing yourself. But if you've already learned that area, you've done all the side quests, all the main quests, all the exploration events that are available, you've opened all the teleportation points, which is a thing by the way, then and only then, if you have a high reputation with that area of the map, you'll be able to do auto-pathing. They talk about daily and weekly quests that they feel like a lot of players probably don't like that nowadays, because sometimes players can't log in every single day, or they don't really find it all that immersive, they just find it boring. They don't want that to be time consuming. Instead, they want to do something that doesn't take too much time, that's really quick, that will let players to kind of do their things without repeating something every single day. So they're trying to figure out a way to do that just right. So that way, as I'm quoting them right now, they say, we'll be able to solve the boring game experience and instead have a fun experience instead of not so fun problems. So they do mention a few things that were really straight to the point, more than I would say NCSoft with the latest Throne and Liberty, but I digress. They were asked just a little bit about a few things. One was endgame and whether a player decides to leave the game and come back, what would happen if there's a brand new season, what's going on, and is there going to be pay to win? Will there be ways for people to buy things that would increase their power in order to catch up and stuff like that, which was pretty bold and I would say bait, but that's just me. And they straight up answer immediately, if you quit and come back after a certain period of time, you'll be able to reintegrate yourself into the game society is what they call it, which actually sounds pretty cool. You'll be able to go through current content, and a lot of the times you'll either be starting at a brand new island to kind of go through a new quest line or something to get you up to speed, or you'll be given opportunities to just kind of catch up just a little bit, but not enough to like the highest end player, right? Because that wouldn't necessarily be fair. And in terms of pay to win, they straight up say, what we are officially saying right now is that we will have absolutely no cash up item that can directly affect a player's combat power. So again, a lot of this is, you know, like badly translated to English, but pretty much what they're saying is like nothing you buy in the cash up will ever affect you in terms of gameplay, in terms of, you know, either being stronger or whatever, or more effective against another player, unless being gorgeous is one of those. At this point, they're saying a promise. They're saying whether it's equipment like gear or weapons or whatever, or whether it's materials or crafting items that you require, this is all going to be created by players, and it's going to be sold by players for the players in the in-game market house, but it will not be sold by us. So they say what we're going to sell in terms of the cash shop will only be appearance related things such as cosmetics or costumes, and everything else is not going to be touched. So with that in mind, the interviewer starts asking, how are you going to handle, you know, the trading system? Is it going to be like peer-to-peer, like I go to player B and press trade, and how is that going to be kind of handled? So right now it's going to be completely disabled and it's not going to be allowed, so nobody can trade gold or whatever. But that said, there will be an entire auction house where players can kind of trade things and do all that stuff, but that's all going to be monitored to make sure that it's not illegitimate. There's not going to be any character trading, so I know that a lot of people are interested in, for example, Injustice Online. I don't know why, but if you are in that game, you can trade your character, which is yep. But in this particular game, in Taris World, no. You cannot do that. So there are a few other things that they do talk about, but pretty much all the important stuff I've kind of mentioned at this point. Right now, they're still in development technically, and they're going to keep developing and making sure that the game works properly. They don't really expect for the game to be fully completed, like ready for launch. Like, think of it as they're right now in early access pretty much. So for an actual official launch, they're thinking either Q1 or Q2 of 2024. So before then, there should be kind of a global test that anybody can go in. Right now, it's kind of closed off a little bit, but I think you can apply. But over time, there will be more and more testing, and then it'll be launched, I don't know, by July next year probably. Now, as for whether or not it'll be coming to North America, the plans are for it going global. So assuming that the game does launch next year, there is a possibility that they might do a global launch next year, or they're going to go the old publisher route. We might have to wait a year or two. But altogether, to say Taris World looks really interesting at least. But what do you guys think about it? Do you think this will be interesting for you guys to play? Will you be playing on PC, on mobile if it does come out? Do you think it being on PC and mobile maybe kind of deters it from doing a lot of features, or do you think this is kind of something they already have in mind and so they're building around that? I don't know, but let me know in the comments below and we'll talk about it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and click that adorable f***ing bell to know when I upload a brand new video. And don't forget to come join my Discord if you want to chat and hang out. Much love, and as always, till next time, friends.